I'm in the Johnnie Walker Lounge at the Cape Town International Jazz Festival, and I have my own personal whiskey connoisseur tonight. This is Marsh. Welcome. Thank you for standing here with me.
It's great.
Okay, so we're going to be doing a whiskey tasting. All right, I've never done a whiskey tasting before, so can you tell me what this is about?
When you come to a place like this, particularly this lounge
Yeah.
tonight, this is a little bit different in terms of how we normally do whiskey tastings.
Okay.
When you did a tasting, you didn't know anything about whiskey initially.
Right.
We would normally have whiskey neat,
Okay.
nose and taste that, so you get the proper aromas, sensitize your nose, then add a little bit of water, re-nose and re-taste again.
Okay.
But this experience now is called the King of Flavor experience.
Ooh,
So we've got
sounds
4
delicious.
different variations of Johnnie Walker. Johnnie
Okay.
Walker Red Label,
Right.
Black Label, Gold Label Reserve,
Okay.
and Johnnie Walker Platinum 18 years of age.
It's like the Johnnie Walker rainbow, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
With,
The colours all different types
Yeah.
of flavors. So remember that,
Okay.
all right?
Okay, cool.
Easiest way is remember the colours, all different flavors.
Okay, cool.
And these are not the same whiskies because they've got different makeups.
Okay.
Different kind of single malt and
so
grain
just
whiskey.
like a wine or a beer, it's
Yeah.
all different. Okay, cool.
And these are blends. So the House of Walker is one of the most premium blended houses of whiskies in the entire world.
Okay.
Number 1 selling whiskey in the world, for instance, Johnnie Walker Red Label.
Right.
And the reason for that is because it mixes so well.
Okay.
And the first tasting we're doing is the Johnnie Walker Red Label.
Okay.
So this tasting is slightly different. It's called the King of Flavor tasting. First one is Johnnie Walker Red Label.
Great.
And I want you just to nose the whiskey. Connoisseur's nose whiskey. So gently. You don't want it to kind of
Not too much.
not
Okay.
too much. So, and then you have a small taster.
Okay. Should I swirl it? I see
Yeah,
them do
you
that
can
in the
do that,
movies.
absolutely.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Now remember the profile of the whiskey. Flavor here, slightly sweeter, a bit more spicy.
Do I
Kinda
taste
an
cinnamon?
aromatic definitely. Some aromatic spices, you've got it. Best thing to do here is we add a bit of ginger ale and some ice. Because Johnnie Walker Red Label is kind of vibrant, aromatic, kind of energetic whiskey. And maybe even a little bit of ice as well. So ginger ale and ice.
Okay.
Because it's quite mixable. If
Yep.
it's very, very hot outside, you want to drink something that stands up,
Okay.
to the heat of the day.
Right.
And this in a long glass with quite a bit of ginger ale and then some ice is great.
So a nice summery drink.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
So to try that. And the reason it sells so well internationally because the mixability is great.
That's very yummy.
The spices in there and the
Yeah.
ginger and the ginger ale, they work very well together. So quite powerful flavors coming through.
Now tell me, do you usually have whiskey on its own, or can you have it with food? And
It really depends. There's a big trend
Yeah.
these days to have whiskey with food pairings,
Okay.
coffee pairings, chocolate pairings.
as a
quite lot.
connoisseur, would you do it with food or not food?
It depends really. It depends
Okay.
on the time of the day as well.
Yes.
So I kind of like some of the older whiskeys. So you can sit back in a nice kind of Chesterfield lounger and sip and kind of contemplate life.
Yeah. Okay. I like your style there.
So that's Johnnie Walker Red Label. The next one we're tasting
Back.
is what we call the benchmark whiskey in the House of Walker. It's Black Label.
Okay.
One of the most complex and well-balanced whiskies. And the way we recommend having that is either neat to a bit of water,
Okay.
little block of ice potentially because it's quite hot today.
Okay.
Now people might think it's sacrilege to add some ice to the water to the whiskey itself, and it might be. But if you add a bit of water as well, it opens up the flavour slightly.
I've
so you
heard
try
that.
to look at it.
So if you really want to taste the flavor, you should put a little drop of water in.
Exactly, so it opens it up. Where the proper way of tasting whiskey is obviously having a neat first nose and taste, and a small bit of water and it opens up. Ice normally contracts all the flavours. But if we're doing it in a scenario like this, we want to accentuate some flavours here, and this kind of smoky aromas coming through in Johnnie Walker Black Label. Quite smoky, very rich, kind of sherry aromas,
smells
richer
very
fruits, maybe a little bit of Christmas cake mix, cinnamon spices again, and a little bit of the fresher fruits come through
I
as
can
well.
feel the smokiness on the back here.
So you think with Johnnie Walker, the underlying kind of DNA really is that kind of silky smooth malty taste and a bit of smokiness as well.
Yum.
And it goes back to the 1800s because those are some of the distilleries the guys bought initially when they started.
Yeah.
Particularly from the west coast of Scotland. And there's little islands there. Isle of Islay, Isle of Skye, very powerful smoky single malts are used in these blends.
Okay.
So that is Johnnie Walker Black Label. Now to a very luxurious blend of the King of Flavor. This is called Johnnie Walker Gold Label Reserve.
Okay.
Now
I'll take that
again,
from
let's
you.
have a little bit of ice.
Okay. So I'm noticing a trend here. Usually you want to have a little bit of ice and maybe a drop of water in there.
Absolutely.
Great.
Here we don't mind even a little bit of soda water potentially as well,
Water. And
and a bit of orange potentially as well, like an orange peel, zest of orange.
Now I noticed we did ginger ale with the first, but not the second and the third. Is it because these flavors are so much nicer?
No, not really nice. They're very different. So
Okay.
flavors profiles work together. In the ginger ale kind of combination, there you needed something quite vibrant, quite spicy, quite smoked, quite peppery.
Okay.
You stand up to that kind of mix.
Yeah.
In this case, the flavors are quite subtle, already dulled out, well mellowed over time.
Yeah.
So you don't want to distort those flavors too much. You just
Okay.
want to accentuate them.
Great.
All right, so try that.
Smells delicious.
So we say creamy vanilla.
This is much more
Very
smooth.
smooth, subtle,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
I like this one. This one's my favorite so far.
Great.
Yeah.
We find many ladies say that.
Really? Is that a compliment? I don't know
It's a
what that
compliment.
means. I don't know what that means. Okay.
We'll leave it at that. That's
Okay,
great.
fine, we'll leave it at that.
Luxurious, elegant, creamy,
There you
beautiful.
go.
All
That's
right,
what many ladies like. All right, and now we're on to the last one.
Last one is Johnny Walker Platinum, 18 years of age.
Oh, I like platinum.
I reckon you just have that like that.
Okay.
Have a small taster, and immediately you'll find there's a lot more body to this whiskey.
Smells very vanilla-y.
A bit more spicy.
Okay.
Not 100% correct there. So a bit more spices and a bit of sherry influence coming through there. A bit of sweet smoke as well. Maybe sometimes they say a bit of like citrus aromas on the nose. But feel the power of the body of the whiskey itself.
It's very powerful.
Quite intense.
Yeah.
18 years in a cask, all right,
Wow.
for the combination of around 20 different whiskies in here.
Yeah.
Quite powerful, very, very elegant. So it's smooth over time, but it still has that body. And the aftertaste, the finish you're experiencing now is quite intense.
Yeah.
A lot of the others kind of like drop down quite quickly. This one stays and
This
gets
one
bigger and
stays.
bigger and bigger. And that's an indication, in my opinion, of a really good, well-balanced whiskey.
Okay.
Extremely complex as well, extremely well-balanced on the palate. So the front of the tongue normally gets these sweeter aromas, the side a bit acidity, towards the back the smokiness comes in. And that's a perfect kind of combination of all those tastes on the palate.
Okay, great.
What I recommend there is just a small bit of water
Okay, let's have the water.
that opens it up slightly, releases the aromas, re-nose and re-taste. And obviously any stage the person likes to add some ice, you can do. Because there's a big difference between enjoying whiskey and tasting the evaluation purpose. So for us connoisseur-wise, we would evaluate whiskeys in a very rigid manner
Okay.
to get the best out of all those aromas. But this is an enjoyment purposes. So we want to accentuate these king of flavors, these flavors inside the whiskey in this particular way that we've tasted them.
The water really opens it up once
Yeah.
you have the taste. With
What do you think happens when it opens up? But more fruity floral aromas,
Yeah.
richer spices potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Richer fruits come through in this whiskey because a selection of sherry casks have been used, and that's quite rich in terms of its flavor profile. I remember when the guy who makes this currently, like he's probably the sixth or
Who makes
seventh
this?
guy.
Is this
in-
like Johnny Walker?
It's one of his legacies, right? And the 7th or 8th master distiller in the world currently for Johnny Walker.
Yes.
In terms of from 1820s onwards, a guy called Jim Beveridge.
Okay.
Very fortunate name for
Jim Beveridge.
for the industry. But it's his responsibility to bring these contemporary brands into the market
Yeah.
and experiment with what he's got already. But one thing with Johnny Walker, you'll find that it's extremely consistent. So over 200 years in the making, this is a premium. This is one of the most premium whiskey houses in the entire world, if not the, because of that consistency. And the product has to speak for itself.
It's very smooth, very delicious. I'm very happy you took me through that. My whiskey tasting 101. I'm happy to have a connoisseur like you, Marsh.
Pleasure. Thank you.